Okay, so the first thing that comes to mind there is our work integrated learning, which is something that the university's been doing very well for a number of years. We're ranked #1 in Australia for industry collaboration.
Study Abroad Podcast ដែលត្រូវបានរៀបចំឡើងដោយ WEduAbroad Study Abroad Consultancy ថ្ងៃនេះផងដែរពួកយើងបានលើកយកនៅប្រធានបទថ្មីមួយទាក់ទងទៅនឹងការសិក្សានៅសាកលវិទ្យាល័យ Newcastle នៅឯប្រទេសអូស្ត្រាលីហើយពួកយើងក៏មានការចូលរួមជាមួយនឹងវាគ្មិនកិត្តិយសផ្ទាល់ដែលគាត់ជាអ្នកតំណាងសាលានៅឯសាកលវិទ្យាល័យ Newcastle ប៉ុន្តែយ៉ាងណាមិញដោយសារតែវាគ្មិនកិត្តិយសរបស់យើងគាត់ជាជនជាតិបរទេសដូច្នេះពួកយើងនឹងធ្វើបទសម្ភាសន៍ជាលក្ខណៈភាសាអង់គ្លេសប៉ុន្តែខាងក្រុមការងារ WEduAbroad របស់យើងនឹងមានសម្រួលជា Subtitle ដើម្បីសម្រួលដល់អ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាក្នុងការចាប់យកនៅព័ត៌មានឲ្យបានលម្អិតដូច្នេះកុំឲ្យខាតពេលយូរសូមទៅជួបជាមួយវាគ្មិនរបស់យើងទាំងអស់គ្នា Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Yes, I'm good. So, how are you today?
Very well. I'm glad to be back in Phnom Penh. It's been over 3 years since the last time I was in Cambodia, so it's great to be back.
Okay, so could you introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure. So my name's Jonathan Hunter. Most people call me Johnny, and I'm the college director at the University of Newcastle College of International Education. Very long name, but we call ourselves CIE, and so we are the official pathway college for the University of Newcastle in Australia.
All right, thank you so much for your introducing. So before we move on to our topic today, I would like to put myself as a student who are interesting to study in Australia and curious about which university that I should choose to study in Australia. All right, so thank you so much for introducing yourself. So since you are a representative of the University of Newcastle, so could you tell us something, briefly introduce about the University of Newcastle?
Yes, sure. So the University of Newcastle is located in the city of Newcastle, which is the second largest city in the state of New South Wales. Most of your viewers would be more familiar with the capital, which is Sydney. We're about 2 hours north of there, a city of about 600,000 people, so by far the second city of the state. The university was established in the 1960s. It's a public university. It has around 130 different bachelor options across 3 different campuses and also a range of master's programs. The college, where I am based, pathways to almost all of those degree options across those 3 different campuses. So there's one in Newcastle City, which is on the screen behind you. That was established in 2017 at a cost of almost $100 million. And there's also another new building in there, plus more to come. There's the Callaghan campus, which is about 20 minutes away from that campus by bus. Second largest campus in the country, very huge. And another one in the Central Coast, which is halfway between Newcastle and Sydney, and a small campus in Sydney that has some master's programs.
All right, so thank you so much for a little bit introductions about the University of Newcastle. So when we talk about the University of Newcastle, the student, they also want to know more about the programs. So what are the programs that the University of Newcastle, they can offer to the student, especially the international student?
Yep. So international students have access to pretty much every degree at the university. Most popular degree right now is IT, so information technology. There's some very strong scholarships in that area, so that's partly why that has become #1. Obviously, the university has a range of business degrees, as well as engineering, which is very highly regarded. There's various disciplines of engineering, including civil engineering, which is in the top 100 in the world. Our highest ranked degree, though, is actually a Bachelor of Nursing. So Bachelor of Nursing is 28th in the world, and it can be studied at 2 campuses in Newcastle and also the Central Coast. We also have medicine at the university, and the college of International Education offers a very unique pathway to that program. But there is a range of pretty much everything else that you can think of. Very strong on the health sciences, occupational therapy, podiatry, as well as communication and the arts. Newcastle really does offer it all.
All right. So regarding this, the programs that the school can offer, I heard a little bit more about the foundations program. So could you tell us something about the foundation program?
Yep, sure. Okay, so Foundation's our most popular program at the college, and it leads to all degrees available to international students. They can study that program either in a duration of 12 or 8 months, depending when they start. They will require to get what's called an average mark or a percentage score, which varies depending on what degree that they want to progress into. And as long as they achieve that score, they then progress into year one of their preferred bachelor program. There's also a very generous scholarship available for students if they achieve 67% or more. And they would progress into the bachelor program either in February or July each year, depending when the student commences with the college.
All right, so meaning that the international student, if they want to pursue a higher education in University of Newcastle, they have to complete in the foundation study first, and then they can go straight to the bachelor degree.
Yep, that's the most common way that students would enter the university via the college, but we do have a range of other programs. One of the reasons that I'm traveling across Asia over the next 3 weeks is to launch our new Express Preparation program, which is essentially 50% of foundation. The students do 4 courses with us and then enter first year with exactly the same terms as they would if they were in the foundation with that average score. We also have degree transfer options, which is essentially the same curriculum as year one with added academic English and tutorial support. Students finish that. We have that in architecture, construction management, business commerce, IT, computer science and engineering. And then that gets students into year 2 of their chosen bachelor program. And then we also have pre-masters in both business and in information technology, which leads to a range of different master's options. So it just depends on the profile of the student, but we have about 6 different programs that students would be able to study while they're at the college.
All right, so beside foundations program, they also have degree transfer as well, and also the pre-master, so they can compete before they go directly to the bachelor degree or master degree. Okay, so when we talk about this, could you tell us something about the top majors? Because the student, they will be choose the main priority of the majors that they should study in the university. So can you tell us something about the top major in the school?
At the moment, the most popular major is information technology, so that's overtaken business, both in the college and the university, actually. The curriculum is new there, so it's very modern, and it also comes with a $15,000 per year scholarship for international students at the moment, which explains why it's skyrocketed into the number 1 slot. Obviously, business then follows it. Engineering is popular because of the high rankings. But really, it depends on the student. We have a lot of niche programs as well, medical engineering, climate science. There's lots of probably unusual degrees that some students end up doing, but the main ones end up being IT, nursing, business, commerce, and engineering.
Okay, so there's many interesting majors that the student they can choose, but you can pick some like nursing or engineering or information technology. So it's really, really interesting. Okay, so when we talk about this as well, the student probably want to know about something that is special, the uniqueness of the school that the University of Newcastle that they can offer.
Yep. Okay. So the first thing that comes to mind there is our work integrated learning, which is something that is the university's been doing very well for a number of years. We're ranked number 1 in Australia for industry collaboration because There is only one university in Newcastle, which is a city bigger than Canberra, so it's about 600,000 people. So regional, but one of the largest regional cities, if not the largest. So it's easy for the university to reach out to local employers and ensure that students get an opportunity for work integrated learning. And as from next year, in February 2024, all of the university's bachelor programs will have a work integrated learning component, so that students, as they study their degree, will have work experience, first-hand Australian work experience built into their degree program. And we're the first university in Australia that has implemented that policy. I'm sure the others will follow suit in due course. But when they're graduating at the University of Newcastle, the students can know that they'll be very employable. We do have very high employability rates as it stands already, 84, 85% on average. In some cases, it's pretty much 100%, depending on the discipline. But that's one unique thing that the university definitely has is its focus on employability.
All right, so next question is that what are the programs that have something that is unique about the academic reputations at the University of Newcastle?
Yep. So I think I mentioned it a bit earlier, but the highest ranked program that we have in terms of reputation is nursing at 28 in the world. So that becomes popular for that reason. But we also have some other programs. Exercise and sport science, I think, is 29 in the world. There's a component of mechanical engineering and medical engineering called automation and control. That's ranked, I think it's in the top 15 in the world. At one point, it was higher than Stanford and Harvard and Cambridge, probably still is. So that is evidence that the School of Engineering is really very well regarded and highly ranked. But we have a range of programs. Architecture is also in the top 100. Medicine's, I think, 132. So apart from our overall ranking of 173 in the world, there are even more impressive rankings when it comes to some of the subjects as well.
All right, so meaning that the school that they can offer is not only about the programs, but also relate to the majors that they can offer as well. So it's very interesting for the international student.
Indeed.
Yes. All right, so besides this, one of the significant things that the international student actually want to know is about the scholarship.
Yep.
So is there any scholarship for both pathway and the progressions that directly into the bachelor degree?
I'm pleased to say there is, yes. So Cambodian students can expect a scholarship of about 20% in their Kaplan College programs, which comes from Kaplan. So they'll see that in their offer letters. And when they progress to the bachelor or the master's, there are now exceptional international scholarships worth between 10 and 15,000 Australian dollars per year. So, for example, if a student was studying our foundation program or our express preparation program, they only need to achieve an average mark of 67 or more in order to then get the international excellence scholarships of between $10,000 and $15,000. So let's say they were going into Bachelor of Electrical Engineering, they'll get their average mark, and then they would get $10,000 per year of the program. So it's 4 years, an honours degree in Australia, so they would be getting, in that situation, in that example, a scholarship of $40,000. It's even more for IT and computer science at $15,000, and also some of the master's level programs, the Master of Business Administration, it's 15. So very high scholarships, some of the highest available to anyone for international students in Australia. It's something the university and the college does very well now. It hasn't always been the case, as I remember, at the earlier days, but now some very attractive offerings for students, and our numbers, we've got more international students at the university than we've ever had. And part of that reason is we're doing the right thing with international scholarships.
Okay, so meaning that Cambodian student, they can get the scholarship for 20% from the Kaplan International Pathway. So what kind of support that the alumni that they can expect from the University of Newcastle that they can offer after they graduate and then they enter into the workforce?
Yep. So once a student graduates and becomes alumni of the university, they still have access to all of the online library that they had access to when they were studying. They maintain their email account, which may sound like a small thing, but they still have access to all the data and emails that they had during their studies, and then they can use that moving forward. There are various networking events that the university puts on both in Australia and internationally. I've been to one of them in Indonesia a couple of years ago. And events that continue on for alumni as well as career services. So they can still come to the alumni department of the university for career advice. And the last thing that they can have access to are free courses. So there are free courses that students can do, short courses, which are free, and for a small fee, they can also get a certificate at the end.
Okay, so meaning that the student, after they graduate, the school, they still support for the students, so they can come to ask for the support or also to discuss with the career that they should choose in the future.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, so besides the program or the scholarship, how about the living arrangement for the international student?
Yep, so there's various different options for students in Newcastle. There are a range of on-campus accommodation options, the majority of which were constructed in 2015, so they're very modern, quite high-rise buildings. And then there are smaller buildings that are a bit older. If students want to live on campus, the college gets dedicated rooms every year. So it's a simple process for students to apply for those on-campus rooms and for us to make sure that they have that available to them. Those range from about $190 per week up to about 400 Australian dollars per week, depending on the living arrangements, but most of them are 6-bedroom apartments, so the student would be sharing with 5 others, and they have kitchen, living, bathroom, balcony, and their own room, obviously. And for off-campus, we work with a range of different real estate agents who specialize in student accommodation, to the point where they will actually take the student to different places in their company car, and if they want to apply, they're able to reserve the room then and there. Across Australia, accommodation has been tight, been difficult to get a room after the pandemic, with borders opening and everyone returning. However, the good news is there's both private and university accommodation being constructed in the Newcastle city centre. So there's both of them will have 500 bedrooms. So 1,000 new rooms are under construction already for a 2025 completion. So it's been a bit challenging at times. We've managed to get everyone something, and we're there to help students. But the good news is there's more accommodation coming because more and more students are choosing to study and live in Newcastle.
Okay, so it sounds great, yes, for the international student. So the next question is that how does the University of Newcastle that they can ensure that the student they can access the resource and find the support service to help them succeed academically and socially?
Yep. So the good thing about students coming into the College of International Education is we have an excellent student experience team. So they'll induct those students, make sure they know where to go for the different services that both the college and also the university offers. Because as soon as the students accept their offer with us and come over and move to Newcastle, they are not only college students but university students. So they have access to pretty much everything, all the support services, the clubs and societies that they can join, discounted fitness centre membership. We have a very large gym with an Olympic-sized swimming pool, so they get discounts there. And then in the city, there's a smaller one they have access to as well. Various different discounts that they can enjoy. There are mental health support services that all students have access to called campus care, so on-campus psychologists. There's an on-campus doctor as well, doctor's surgery. at the main campus, and obviously all of the events that happen, students are able to enjoy. And we put on a lot of events also at the college, exclusively for our students. We have excursion week, or we call it experience week, 3 times a year for our foundation students, and we're about to roll that out into the degree transfer as well. Always very popular, and we also have employability jobs fairs. So jobs fairs throughout the year for students to make sure that they have access to work while they study, if they want it. And also the university does the same thing for students who are close to graduation, so that we can make sure if they want to stay in Newcastle that they've got a job. So a range of different things. I'm sure I haven't covered half of it, but yeah, they have access to a lot of support, and the college and both the university are there for the students.
All right, so it's very interesting that the school actually have many resources and services for the student for help when any times when they need it. Okay, so last question, personally to you, what advice do you have for the student who are considering to study in Australia?
Yep, I mean, the first thing would be just to do your research. I obviously I get a bit of a reputation for being a champion of Newcastle and pushing it very heavily. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy living there. But it's probably not for everyone. Everyone is different. If you want to go to a big city and you really want to experience sort of the buzz of a place with a huge population, you should probably consider Sydney or Melbourne. Those are the 2 5 million plus population cities. But if you're looking for something a bit smaller, easier to get around, you know, we've got Adelaide, we've got Newcastle. It's also a bit cheaper to be in the smaller cities, so if you want to consider affordability, that's something to think about. And the other thing is post-study work, right? So every city, well, not every city, but compared to the capital cities and then some of the other cities and Newcastle, there are differences. So we get up to 6 years of post-study work right. So a student could apply for the post-study work right visa and then know that they have that to get their experience in Australia in the workforce behind them. It's a bit less in the big cities, in Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne. So really, I think it's a case of decide where they would be comfortable in terms of the style of city and the busyness of it. Look at the subject, the discipline that they want to study, because it's not available at all universities. You know, the main ones are, but it might be something that's only available in some. Look at the curriculum, see if it's something that really resonates with them, and then apply based on that. And when people like myself are here, and we've got an event tomorrow talking to students, it's important to come and hear it from people that are living it as well, because that way you can hear, I guess, more organically what it's like in the different places. So, you know, a lot of it depends on the individual student, exactly what they would prefer. Some students I've spoken to, maybe not from Phnom Penh, but places like Ho Chi Minh City, where they have experienced a very busy lifestyle, but they want to try something a bit quieter. Then they'll move and pick Newcastle. Other students might be from a smaller place and they would feel, you know, like a deer in the headlights if they went to a huge place. So it really just depends on what the student is comfortable with.
All right, so thank you so much for a very insightful information, and also thank you for spending your precious time for conducting this podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's been great.
អូខេអញ្ចឹងការធ្វើកិច្ចសម្ភាសជាមួយនឹងវាគ្មិនកិត្តិយសរបស់យើងក៏ឈានចូលមកកាន់ទីបញ្ចប់ហើយបើសិនជាអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាមានសំណួរចង់សួរតាក់ទងទៅនឹងការសិក្សានៅសាកលវិទ្យាល័យ Newcastle នៅឯប្រទេសអូស្ត្រាលីអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាអាចធ្វើការតម្លាក់សំណួរនៅក្នុង comment section ខាងក្រោមហើយបើសិនជាអ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាត្រូវការការផ្ដល់ទីប្រឹក្សាយោបល់អ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាអាចធ្វើការតាក់ទងមកកាន់ WEduAbroad ដើម្បីធ្វើការប្រឹក្សាជាមួយនឹងខាងក្រុមការងាររបស់ពួកយើងក៏ដូចជាការរៀបចំឯកសារផ្សេងៗដើម្បីទៅ support អ្នកទាំងអស់គ្នាក្នុងការទៅសិក្សានៅបរទេសដូច្នេះការធ្វើ podcast របស់ពួកយើងនៅក្នុងថ្ងៃនេះសូមតែមកដល់ចប់សូមអរគុណសូមគោរពលា